The game Perfection has been testing motor coordination and causing stress in children since 1973. Nowadays, those children are adults, and a lot of them have jobs. Most of them traditional 9-to-5 jobs where they report to a boss. But a growing number of them are taking the route of independent work. They're driving for Uber, assembling bookshelves on TaskRabbit, and freelance writing for online publications. Should that be allowed? Let's play and find out. I'm Mark Guiney, a producer for the Heritage Foundation, and this is PolicyLAB. We recruited a few test subjects to play Perfection for us.
I love this game.
Oh, taking me back to childhood.
All right, this is a blast from the past. I've never played this before in my life. I think you go like this, right, and then push it down.
Right, and it just like goes everywhere.
This is not going to go well.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
No pressure. This is like, 6-year-olds play this.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah, you gotta go. I think this game is why I have so much anxiety.
Oh no.
That's a fast 60 seconds.
No.
They're not doing very well, but that's to be expected for reasons we'll explain in just a moment. Before we learn something about independent work from what they're doing, we're first going to turn to Heritage Research Fellow Rachel Greszler.
Cars run on gasoline, lights run on electricity, and society runs on workers. If nobody worked, nothing would be produced, and humanity would not survive. The traditional ice industry was ended by the innovation of the refrigerator. The stagecoach system was outrun by the first American railways, and in our times, automation and technological advancement threaten the order of many job markets. But they also give rise to new jobs and astonishing new products and services that make everyone better off. And the more jobs that are out there, the more opportunities people have. One of the biggest areas of growth in recent years has been freelancing, or so-called independent work. Unlike traditional employment, think of the 9-to-5 job, reporting to the boss, independent work provides a unique opportunity for individuals to be their own bosses, to decide when, where, and how much they work. It used to be that only highly educated, high-income workers such as lawyers, consultants, and business owners could work for themselves. But now, through platforms that connect workers to clients, independent work is available to nearly everyone, from the stay-at-home mom in Omaha, Nebraska, who sells her products on Etsy, to the student in Boston who helps pay for his education by using TaskRabbit to find handyman jobs on nights and weekends. In fact, according to the Freelancing in America report, 57 million Americans, 35% of the US workforce, freelanced in 2019. And freelancing is not just for young workers. 29% of baby boomers freelance. And for many people, freelancing is primarily a way to make extra money, a side gig. But for a growing percentage of Americans, it's become their primary job. Over just the past 5 years, the percentage of full-time freelancers jumped from 17% to 28%. And more than half of freelancers say that no amount of money could compel them to switch back to traditional employment. So why are more and more people turning to independent work? It's largely a combination of greater autonomy, flexibility, and more stimulating work. And for almost half of independent workers, it's the only way they can work. These are the types of individuals who would classify as marginalized or discouraged from holding a job due to health, family, or other personal issues. And yet, from 2018 to 2019, the number of marginalized and discouraged workers fell by nearly 25%, with literally hundreds of thousands of workers coming off the sidelines and engaging in productive and rewarding work.
Let's get back to our test subjects. I wish I could say they were having a relaxing time, but this is PolicyLAB, so of course we had to make things a little more interesting.
I don't think some of these pieces actually go in here.
Are there extra pieces that don't belong?
There are definitely pieces in here that do not belong.
When we set up these games, we swapped a few of the real Perfection pieces with some from a different version of the game, which has different shapes. The result? Our test subjects are never going to win the game because the pieces aren't going to fit.
That would be.
Yep.
In this example, each space in the game board represents a person, and every piece a job. When you take away the jobs that fit a person's individual circumstances, you wind up with an unworkable situation. Pretty simple, right? Apparently, not for everybody.
Some people and policymakers have come to believe that independent work is not in individuals' best interests, but that everybody should instead report to a boss, and that a company, not individuals, should be in charge of workers' pay, benefits, and workplace conditions. That was the logic behind a new California law called AB 5, which mandates that virtually anybody a company does business with must be treated as an employee, whether that's a recent graduate who earns extra money by delivering groceries, a writer who sells their services to multiple different companies, or an independent trucker who contacts with many different vendors to distribute goods. Congress's House of Representatives passed a similar, though even more extensive bill as well, but it has not yet been enacted into law. The problem is that instead of providing higher pay, more benefits, and additional protections to independent workers, California's law took away their livelihoods instead, because companies are no longer legally allowed to do business with most independent workers. In addition to millions of workers who have been affected by California's law, it's also hurting small businesses. And that's because small businesses rely more on contractors to be able to compete with big companies. Businesses with 4 or fewer employees use 6.7 contractors on average. Lacking the ability to formally hire these workers means that the contractor doesn't get any work, and the small business loses the competitive advantage that it gains from their services. Flexible freelancing and gig work is going to be particularly important as American society emerges from the COVID-19 shutdown. Some workers' jobs have already disappeared. Some companies may not be able to employ as many workers if there's a prolonged contraction. And some workers won't be comfortable returning to their previous jobs as soon as they reopen. That's why having other, more flexible options available is so important. Even among the 2/3 of Americans who did not freelance at all last year, 76% of them said that they would consider freelancing if there were a recession. Unfortunately, when policymakers try to fix things that some people see as problems, they sometimes do more harm than good. Freelancing and the gig economy were born out of innovation. Fighting innovation means restricting opportunities, and that will certainly happen if the government tries to force everyone into traditional employment. By removing slots away from the board, some people won't be able to find a slot at all, and others will have to reshape their work and their lives to conform to whatever slots they can find.
If you want to be less stressed, you should not play perfection. Instead, you should subscribe to the Heritage Foundation YouTube channel. There you can find more episodes of PolicyLAB and stay up to date on all kinds of issues faced by our government and society today.
I'll take it.